Hello, everybody. So, I'm going to be talking about my field experience being a constant observer at Providence Newburgh. So, to kind of go over the overview of my placement, I worked in the emergency department in Newburgh at the Providence, and I maintained constant observation of a range of 1 to 3 people at a time. And during that position, I was to observe warning signs of suicidal and homicidal ideation and keep in constant communication with the patient's nurses, security if needed, with the patients and the patient's family. So they were put into 2 hours short shifts, and you can set up for however many as you want, and you're just on call. So you potentially get called in, potentially don't, depending on if there's patients and a need for you. Yeah, so basically, in this position, I was just aiding healthcare professionals and patients through emergency mental health crises. So, a review of activities. So, this picture on the left is kind of a little bit of an over exaggeration, but it's the best I could find on Google. But basically, I would sit at this little desk and I would have four ish cameras, depending on how many rooms and patients I was watching. And I would just constantly watch them. And every 15 minutes, I write down where they're at, what they're doing, and if there's any notable behavior, and I sign off on it. So yeah, I would basically be just sitting there watching cameras, making sure that nothing is happening to them and they're not in danger of hurting somebody else. Um, and during that, I would also communicate with staff if I saw something that was a little bit concerning or something I just felt like I wanted to bring up to a nurse or other staff members to maintain their patient safety. I would do that with nurses, technicians, all the HUC nurses, all those wide variety of different people, as well as doctors. So I'd also advocate for the patient and their safety. So if they were hungry, if they wanted to go brush their teeth, because when they get admitted into the emergency room, they no longer get like personal belongings. So if they want to make a phone call, I'm the person who's going to advocate for them to be able to get their phone call or to brush their teeth or to get more blankets or food or whatever it may be. Escorting them to the bathroom that they can use is like a safety bathroom, just to ensure that nothing bad is going to happen. Um, in that time period when they're in the restroom, so I can just like walk them over and make sure that the door is fully shut for them. Yeah. So my personal reaction to this experience is very good. I've been a constant observer since my sophomore year of college, and I'm now in my last semester of my senior year. So I've had an overall really great experience. It can be really tough to watch sometimes people going through some of the harder moments of their lives, especially like people's family members. Watching them go through such a hard time can be really draining and emotionally taxing. But at the same time, with that, I've been able to kind of learn how to take care of myself in high stress and very raw emotions and how to make sure that I'm prioritizing my mental health while also prioritizing the mental health of the people that I'm helping. But it's also made me really interested in advocacy. I'm taking a social policy class right now, and for that class, I've looked into a lot of different social policies surrounding emergency mental health crises and different policies that kind of go into that. So that's been really interesting for me. And just being an advocate for patients' needs is just something that really rings true to my heart. Um, but yeah, I've had a couple interactions with one on one with patients where they've just expressed great gratitude, and especially with their families too. Just them expressing a lot of gratitude that I was being able to be there and make sure that nothing was going to happen to the people that they care about or to them. So that has been very inspiring. So my original goals for this field experience course was to get a better understanding of the process of the patient's stay in the ED. Like I mentioned before, I've been a constant observer, but I've kind of just been showing up, making sure the patients are safe, not as much as involved in understanding what was going on, like with the PsyD students coming in from George Fox and doing screenings and evaluations. I kind of just didn't really think about that, just more focused on my job instead of being curious, which is something that is really important to me to be able to foster that curiosity that I have. So that was my goal, to kind of just allow myself to be curious and to ask questions, even though I might feel like annoying, because it's just such a high stress situation in the emergency department. But I just wanted to overall serve and support my patients and their families. So, course relation. I think that the courses that have helped me out the most in this experience have been counseling and advanced counseling, just learning how to be empathetic, like genuinely. Um, People who you're interacting with as a constant observer are going through really hard times. Some of them might be the hardest times of their entire life. So you have to be able to want and be willing to sit there with them if that's what they desire and to feel with them. And it can be really tough, but it takes a lot of practice and it's not a very easy skill to figure out yourself. So those courses have helped me a lot in figuring out how to be there for another person going through such a hard time. And then also professional seminar was really beneficial for this field experience just because I felt like I learned how to be a good employee in that class and how to advocate for myself and my learning and yeah. So next is faith in my experience. I'm not an extremely like religious person, but I do have major core beliefs in love and empathy and respect and justice. Um, so I feel like in this experience, I've been able to truly encompass those things and have been able to show them in a way that um, kind of brings out the love and respect and justice and advocacy that I feel inside, and have been able to spread that out to people when it truly matters. So that's been really important to me. And future plans. So for being in the constant observer, I've watched a lot of interaction, like one on one with patients and people who are going through these like mental health crises. Um, and that really rings true to my heart. And just being in that clinical field, I've known that for a while now, but it was just really cool to see and be able to see actual change happen was really inspiring. And I'm also really interested in trauma. So that has been a good experience for me to be able to kind of see what that looks like and get a good idea of what a mental health care emergency looks like in like an emergency department because it's a very common experience, unfortunately, to have gone through um, an event like that. And then lastly, career planning. So being able to see the George Fox ID program students and they're doing screenings and assessments was just really awesome for me. Being able to kind of fuel that hope of being able to get into the program and um, do some great work there. And I've also become an advocate for the policies surrounding mental health emergency care um, and just the things that kind of go on in an emergency department. So I've had a wonderful time at my experience, and thank you for listening.